How do you get the golden triad of location, autonomy, and salary? Well, howdy YouTube family. It is Bolt CRNA coming to you with another week's topic. So I asked you guys on Instagram, what did you want to know? I was going to shoot a YouTube video and do a little Q&A, and you have given me some questions. So let's get into our Q&A today. The first question is for you nursing students. I was asked, as people are in nursing school and they're reflecting on what they should do better or what they should know, what kind of advice would I give? The advice that I would give myself if I was talking back to myself in 2010, 11, 12 when I was in nursing school is focus on the why behind what you're doing. Don't get caught up in the minutia and the dogma of this person says to do it this way, this policy says do it this way. The policies and procedures and all that kind of stuff, they shift and change. There are other people who will give you advice sometimes on what to do a certain way, and it's completely not evidence-based practice. So don't rely on that. Rely on why you're doing what you're doing, which means you can't be lazy. You have to take ownership over your practice as a nurse. What you're doing, why you're doing it, and make decisions based off of that. Don't just follow behind what other people are saying. That will get you into trouble. I also got asked, how much is my new loft? So some of you guys may know, I don't know if you can see a little bit here. I moved in to a new loft. This is my new favorite space. And someone asked me how much it costs. Now I'm gonna tell you, San Francisco is expensive. You're just not gonna live here cheaply. This place is $3,700 a month. It's a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's about 1,300 square feet. It does have a private patio space, which is actually right here behind us here. And there's, big windows and stuff that are lighting the space. I don't have any lighting on in here really. This is all just light from the sun. And I love it. I have a parking spot here, which those of you who have ever lived in SF know that having a dedicated garage parking spot is about $400 a month. Pretty much every apartment here or any place you're gonna rent is gonna be at $400 more on top of your rent a month to have a parking spot. So mine's included in this price, and I like it. And it's in a nice neighborhood in a good area. So totally worth it. Love the new place. Yes, I am grateful that I'm a CRNA that can afford to pay crazy rents that cost people in here in SF, but that's just the reality of a major big city. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. So you want to know financial well-being after school. How do you get outside of that, out from underneath that student loan debt, that $200,000 that many students have as loan debt when they graduate from CRNA school? The best way that I can tell you to do this, and this goes for residents who are finishing up residency or anyone who's pharmacists, anybody who's incurring heavy amounts of grad school level debt and coming out into a career that's going to pay you pretty decently after, what you need to do is tackle those student loans. You need to live below your means, way below your means. I mean, say you're making $250,000 a year. You need to live on about $50,000 a year. And then, of course, taxes are gonna cut that $250,000 way down anyway, but then you're still gonna have an excess amount over you living at that $50,000 rate or range, and then use the rest to pay off your student loans. I mean, that's essentially what I did. My loans paid off in 20 months, maybe 21 months. It was under 2 years that I had all my student loans gone. So do that, live below your means. Don't go out and buy a brand new car. Do not go out and buy that boat. Do not go out and buy that McMansion 3-bedroom, 5-bath with a clawfoot tub and all these things that you've been dreaming about all the way through school and all these years. Do not do that. That is the worst decision, and I see so many people do that. Think delayed gratification. Delay it for just another couple years, and then you're gonna set yourself up for so much better financial independence and ability later on than if you go buy those things and now you're in even more debt plus your student loan debt, and you're working 50 hours a week and overtime and all these extra things because you need to make enough to pay off all these loans and the interest accruing on them. It's just foolishness, so don't do it. You wanna know tips for a new CRNA who's gonna be 1099. So 1099 is a tax designation. That means that you're just getting straight pay from a business or corporation. You're not W-2, you're not an employee of that corporation technically. You're kind of an independent contractor who's saying, I'm gonna work for you for a set dollar amount per day or hour, whatever your negotiation is, contract says. But you're not getting any benefits, you're not getting malpractice, you're not getting health insurance, you're not getting 401k matching, none of those things. But usually as a 1099, it also means you have control over your schedule. You can say, I don't work Tuesdays. And they have to say, okay, you're not an employee of theirs, so they can't tell you, no, you have to work Tuesdays. Whereas as a W-2, they can and will. So there's a lot of good things about being 1099. I am technically 1099 with what I do now, and I have an S Corp. As a 1099 person, you'll need to have, or you definitely should have, an LLC, a professional LLC, or an S Corp that all of your money and all of your kind of business stuff goes to, so that separates that money from you as a person, because those are two different entities and you don't want to get sued by some malpractice suit or something like that and they come after your personal self and not your business. There's just a lot of reasons why you need to keep things separately. Also for tax regulations and reasons to get the best tax rate that you can get and the benefits of being 1099 taxably, you need to do that by having things separated from personal taxes to your business taxes. What you need to do first, get a CPA who knows CRNA practice. They understand it, they've been around it, they understand what types of expenses we have, what kind of money we make, things like that. You need someone who's gonna do your taxes and probably your payroll. I think both things together. I have a CPA that does both for me together, my taxes and payroll requirements. And so I think I pay $150 a month for her to do, her and her team, to manage pretty much all of those things for me. So I don't have to lift a finger, I don't have to do anything. You could try and manage it yourself. There are some people who do that. I would say as a new CRNA who's just coming out, unless you happen to be a CPA in a previous career, I don't recommend it. I think you could get yourself into some tax fraud, tax issues, and end up in some trouble with the IRS if you're trying to, and not on purpose, but you probably just make mistakes or do things that you didn't realize were not correct. There's a lot of rules and regulations to it. So you can afford it. You should just pay someone, reasonable amount of money to do it. If you're asking about 1099 CRNA as a new grad, as far as independent practice goes and how that may flow for you, that's a whole different thing beyond tax, recommendations and stuff. I would say as independent, if you're gonna be like a solo 1099 CRNA right out of school, then I would say focus on your resources, know what your resources are, know when to say no, and trust your gut instinct and get really good at that really fast. Back when I was an ICU nurse, what did I do? How did I deal with the frustration of feeling like I was dealing with futile treatment? And I think this person was asking me in regards to like patients that are just not getting better and you're just putting more and more care into things and they're just deteriorating and the family can't come to an agreement and that type of situation. Of course, we've all seen that. We all know what that looks like if we worked in the ICU. It's important to remember as an ICU nurse that you are not an island. There's a whole team of people there who are taking care of this patient, who are making decisions, who are helping. And they're all people who are also should be communicating with the patient if they're conscious. If they're not conscious, which many times they're not, you're communicating with the loved ones, the next of kin, the family members, the decision makers essentially for this patient. So you all need to be constantly communicating and talking and determining, is this what the patient wanted? Do they have a living will or a power of attorney? Were they very clear on exactly what they wanted with their future and in their life? Did they want to be on the ventilator for a month? Is this something that they would have said they don't want? And the family oftentimes knows that. They're usually the ones, and many times it's difficult for them to come to terms with the realization that what their loved one would have wanted is not what's happening now. And they would have wanted to have gone comfortably and peaceably and with some dignity with them at their side. So sometimes that's what happens in the ICU, and sometimes people get better. So you never really know, and as the ICU nurse, it's important to not try and make any decisions in your mind of exactly the way you think things should go, because it's not really up to you, especially not up to you as a solo person. So you would want to discuss with the treatment team if you had concerns, if you felt like the patient told you this is not what they wanted, or the family members are telling you this is not what they would have wanted, and this is a difficult decision. You want to get with the treatment team, you want to talk to them, you want to kind of bring together a whole discussion with all the members together to understand what exactly we're doing, what's the prognosis here, what would this patient want? Because that's really what it's about, is what does this patient, what would they want if they were here talking to us in this moment and not sedated or unconscious or very critically ill. And so, yes, I know it can be frustrating sometimes, but communication and getting together as a team and talking about our frustrations, that's the best way to kind of work through those difficult problems. How do you get the golden triad of location, autonomy, and salary? That is often talked about, not only just in CRNA, nurse anesthesia, but like medicine in general. These, and maybe even probably generally in jobs at a period, people have to compromise, usually on one of these things. I would say it's pretty much impossible to get perfect 3 out of 3 on all of these. You're gonna be lucky if you get a good solid 2 out of the 3. And I would encourage you to find the job that gives you a good solid 2 out of the 3. And then on the third that you're compromising on, if you're really good, you can find a way that you can compromise on that 3 in a way that still is not a total just loss on it. Like say you're getting the location you want. So say you're living in the middle of Manhattan, and that's exactly where you wanted to live, a great place. And you're getting an amazing salary. You're getting a really high pay, and it's meeting all of those requirements for you, and you're super happy about that. But the autonomy is not what you would like. The autonomy is a little bit less than what you like. Now, maybe it's a lot less. Maybe it is so bad that you're like, this is miserable. This is like I'm still in school and I'm being treated like an idiot all the time. Like I can't function independently at all, even though you're licensed to do so. So I bet you could find another practice in the island of Manhattan. Maybe it's not around the block from your house. Maybe you can't walk down from your block and just turn the corner, you're at this hospital. Maybe you've got to take the train. Maybe you got to take the train 30 or 40 minutes in the morning to get to the practice that's down in near Battery Park or something. And it's not convenient necessarily for you, but you have much better autonomy there. Maybe, of course, you're probably still going to be working in a team at that facility, or maybe you are totally independent, but likely you're probably still going to be working on some type of team in Manhattan, but they're much more respectful. You do spinals and you do epidurals independently there. Maybe you don't do nerve blocks. Maybe that's done by a pain team and it's specifically there. And maybe you don't write your own PACU orders. So you compromise. It's still not total full independence and autonomy of your full practice, but you get more of the things you want. So that's what I mean by try and negotiate 2.5 out of the 3. Don't go into any job or situation expecting a full 3 out of 3, because that's going to lead you to not being happy. Thoughts on AI and anesthesia. This has been an interesting topic that's been brought up a few different times over the last few years. Now, I will tell you, people who bring this up or have a legitimate concern about AI taking over anesthesia are almost always people who are not anesthesia providers, who do not work in the field or have any real world experience understanding how anesthesia works. With anesthesia, it's an art and a science. It is not just a science. It's not like 1 + 1 = 2 all the time. Sometimes in anesthesia, oddly enough, 1 + 1 will equal 3. And if you're not a creative human being who can think outside the box and use your experiential knowledge and ability to function to figure out, okay, so this situation needs me to modify this other integers and all these other things. If you can't do that, people will die. And that is very dangerous to be thinking about a machine who is going to be running off of a power source and a certain some kind of microchip or software that's causing them to function. What if there's a power outage or a failure? What if there's a glitch in the system? What if someone loads the incorrect medicine into its canisters or something, or whatever it's using, and it doesn't even recognize it and just administers a lethal dosage to someone? There's just things that go on with machines that it's just not ever going to happen, at least not for hundreds of years, until maybe technology is way, way, way beyond advanced what we can think of today, where a machine would be fully managing your anesthetic and your anesthesia needs without anyone else. Now, what will probably happen is technology will continue to advance just like it has in the last 100 years, and we will implement and use technology to assist us in providing the highest quality, safest anesthesia for patients. And it has. It's already helped us and enhanced things, and it will continue to enhance and be good for the patients and the anesthesia experience. But will we be seeing any time in our lifetimes an automated AI system who just fully independently functions and manages your anesthetic the same way I would do it? No, that's not a concern. And the last question is restaurant suggestions. Now, I'll tell you, I have not eaten out a lot around here yet since I've gotten here, since I moved in, but I will tell you Restoration Hardware has a pretty fancy schmancy little restaurant in the Dogpatch area. And there's also one across this Golden Gate Bridge in the Sausalito, Marin County area. So there's actually two of those. If you're looking for like a fancy, picture-worthy, like Instagram type picture place, then that's really good. If you're looking for some cool dim sum or just little takeout places, Chinatown has a ton, probably 50 different restaurants. You can walk down the street of Chinatown and just like randomly pick places and try different dim sums, and it's cheap, like $1 a piece usually. So that's a cool option. And then if you're looking for like bakeries, which San Francisco is really known for its sourdough bread and its bakeries. There's like Food Network shows that talk about it where they visit these places here. And Tartine Manufactory or Tartine Bakery is one of those. It's been featured on TV and is very popular. And I would say go there for croissants or bread. Another great place is Arsacalt in the Richmond district. That place is very good too. All good bakeries here are going to have a line though. I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna learn to stand in line for these kinds of things. They queue up here for great croissants that are remarkable and really, make you say, wow, that's amazing. That chocolate almond croissant like knocked my socks off. You're gonna wait 20 minutes in line, probably, maybe even longer. But those are my recommendations on restaurants or food around here. Well, all right, guys, if you liked that Q&A, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Come on back. I will post more videos in the future. I try and give you a disclaimer here now. I used to do videos weekly. I just don't have the energy or time to do that much anymore, not weekly, but I do like to shoot videos here or there, some vlogs occasionally and post them. So come on back. I will have other things posted here in the future. This channel's not dead. It's not going anywhere. I also do stuff on Instagram and TikTok, and I have a Facebook page too. So if you just want to keep up with my daily life, I'm much more active on Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram. It's Bolt CRNA over there, and you'll see more about my daily posts and stories and stuff. But until next time, that's Bolt out.